to the current stormwater ordinance and revisit the traffic study to address the traffic study, and then get your approvals extended beyond whatever your construction schedule is. And then Exhibit C, we would just look at that to see what requirements there are for the church. And that could be a conditional approval. It's up to council, as Matt said, whether or not you want to have them go through the, actually, they've kind of gone through the 247 approval because they went to the planning commission and they've gone to the county. So they've actually done it parallel, where they're coming to you to see if you'll extend their plans approvals. And they've also gone through the process. So you're really at a point where you can either vote, I guess. I did not do a full review because they're indicating that they have not changed the plans, and the plans were previously approved. And I know we went over them ad nauseum the first time through, so.
Well, I checked, and they're the same. I mean, I pulled plans from the church from '07, and they are, I think it was just the landscaping plan I had, but they are the same. So I mean, I think they are the same plans, yeah. From a legal standpoint for council, it's not something where the plans expire. The choices really are yes with these conditions, or yes as it was. You know what I mean? You can't necessarily say no at this point because it's been approved. It's just a question of whether we have them comply with any new ordinance changes.
We're not here to push things.
Right. And it's 3 stories, not 4.
Sorry?
And it's 3 stories, not 4, right?
That is,
Okay. I assume you heard that story.
I've been hammered on the height of your fire trucks and so on. Yeah, that's made very clear.
Actually, I want to make one more comment, and conditioned upon the fire marshal's approval. Make sure I don't know whether any codes have changed there. We don't do fire, so I don't know what the fire code is, but if the fire marshal approves the plans that are current, as presented, then that would be, we just need his confirmation.
I would maybe ask a question there, because the fire marshals, in my experience, really ask for a lot.
They have to be,
Obviously, you haven't met this guy.
You barely haven't met the fire marshal.
they have to meet the code, and whatever,
Yeah, well, that's my point. I don't think he's gonna do
just
it.
meet the code.
Get into the mic.
Again, he won't shut up.
We have to take all the plans back because there's been some changes to construction.
All the plans.
So we have to go back to,
For permits,
Yeah.
for that, which is outside of the land development approval. So permits are a different issue, and they would have to comply with, but I meant as far as the site goes, as far as the fire marshal, if anything is changed on the site itself, that would affect land development. I don't think it has, but I don't know. So the fire marshal should check the site.
we'll get Mr. Ludgate back on the job. That's all right.
Have you seen the plans?
I have not reviewed the whole set of plans, I have not.
Okay, it would just be the site that you would look at for this purpose. When it comes to permits, that's a different issue. But for land development, it's hydrants, driveway, circulation, things like that for fire trucks. Whatever else you look at for a site, I don't know. But that's all he would look at on the site. When it comes to permits, you would have to work with them on the codes.
I have one off, according to Mary, about 130 sets. Had no idea why.
I haven't seen any of them.
But we have them, no, paper.
All right, so Matt, why don't you sum it up for us?
Okay, so he's.
Well, I would like to sum it up here.
So he's presenting, he's asking for an extension of the previously granted approval. He's willing to meet the conditions of stormwater, fire marshal, the traffic study, and getting us to Exhibit C so we can see what the church is entitled to under the easement agreement. And he's asking for that to be done by motion at the September 10th council meeting, which is our next.
And extensions to his approvals.
Yeah, and, all right, yeah.
Well, can I actually speak now? I would really appreciate it. Yeah, sure. I said, I was at the church Saturday for a viewing, and I haven't been there in a while, and I was really surprised at what's gonna happen when 84 houses are exiting between the KFC and the church, and over on Radio Park Lane, which is a disaster if you haven't seen it. That road is so narrow, you have to take it back to KinderCare, and then you're gonna be going back to where this development is. You're gonna have a nightmare. All that traffic is gonna be emptying onto Edgemont Avenue, between the bank and between where Nifty Norman's used to, not Nifty Norman's, you know, Sherman's used to be. It's gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna be a freaking nightmare. There's no road there, and I really wanna see the easements that the church is giving them, because I don't know how you're gonna do it. I was there for that funeral, which was very big, and the traffic, I had to drop somebody off after I had gone home, and I almost couldn't get out. It was a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I was there too, and I'll tell you
I know.
that's probably 4 times a normal Sunday. So I mean, that was
I
by
know.
far, so you had,
Yeah, but you got 84 residences with 2 cars each, and you're gonna have 165 cars.
well, and that was the other concern for the church with the parking, because that loop, you know, they fit 12, 15 cars in
But
there. I know.
you're gonna have to do a heck of a lot of work, and I wanna make sure the building codes are what they are today, and not what they were in 2002 when they started this project, because I was here when they started the project in 2002. And nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened all these years.
That was your
Nothing was really
stipulation,
built
wasn't
except
it,
the
Matt?
model. And absolutely, Mr. Leslie is going to be on top of this, because I don't want this to become another tradition situation where we're on the hook for all the nonsense that's happening now.
So the,
Yeah, that's, that
I mean,
was gonna,
you
that was
gotta
gonna, I
realize
was waiting for
we're-
everybody to finish,
you-
but that was gonna be my,
Vaughn and I
not
lived
gonna
through that,
happen.
Eileen lived through it, and this is going to be another situation like that. The writing is on the wall. It's a very, there's not enough room back there, I'm just telling you.
I mean, this was right around
That's
the time.
my opinion.
I
And
understand.
that was always my opinion, because I voted no, you know, all the way down the line with this stupid thing.
This is what's in the new plans to upgrade all those roads.
Well, you're gonna have to spend an awful lot of money, because those roads are awful. Radio Park Lane is so narrow, you can't even put a yellow line, because there's no room. I pull in it all the time when you're going into the bank or going down to KinderCare, there's no room there. There's potholes all through it, it's a mess.
Right anyway, so.
I think that's supposed to be either a 40 or a 50-foot wide road there.
Well, I really doubt if it is.
I don't think there is, but I'm gonna ask this question. There's no plan to open, Radio Park Lane up, is there?
You mean Government Road?
Comes out to Radio Park Lane on this, on the Edgemont Avenue side of the barrier. That's what I'm asking you.
Just makes it, yeah.
What else right in church?
Well, no, and it just wouldn't make sense for me to go around back.
Yeah, and I mean, and Janice does make a point. Without a light there,
You won't get a light there.
you're gonna put 165 more cars there, so, potentially. So, that could be a
Yeah, not all
problem.
at the same time.
Huh?
They're not all at the same time.
And that's
No,
what
I
this
didn't say they were.
traffic study takes into account how many, in a traditional development like this, how many people are leaving at this time, how many people are coming back, how many people, and then they use actual data on Edgemont Avenue, and they add that and see what happens to the level of service on the road.
I mean, I
And
understand.
it
what you're
has
saying, Janice.
changed a lot since
Stormwater
your original approval. Edgemont Avenue
Those
changed a
drains
lot.
into Meadowbrook.
He's gonna do that contingent.
So,
Yeah, it's easy to,
you're gonna take a look at all that? Well,
harder to do.
I mean, if they're gonna do
Well-
another traffic study, this should come out as part of a traffic study, right?
It would come out. That information would be given to you.
Okay.
So really, it's just your, as Matt said, it's a decision to whether or not council wants to extend their original approval or consider the plans again. And if you extend the original approval, I'm suggesting you address the items that we said.
Might be nice to let the people in Williamson and the people in the other parts of the borough come to a hearing and really discuss this and see what the plans are. Because you're gonna have so much traffic, and water, you're gonna have a real water problem back there. There already is a water problem back there, because it goes on to Meadowbrook, and they're always coming up here complaining about the water that's coming off that.
It's already been approved.
That's the problem, Janice, is this, like, we
That's
don't have a
the
time
problem.
machine, so we can't go back and say no to something that council already said yes to. All we can do is attach
Yeah,
new
well, that
conditions.
was years and years ago.
I understand, but, which
And
is why
nothing
he,
happened.
and because it's
Which is
been
why
more than
these
5
things
years, he has to
shouldn't be at
comply
a
with the
linger.
ordinances, but even the MPC just says zoning,
No, I
subdivision, and
didn't.
other governing ordinances. It doesn't say anything about the building code, so
I'm just telling you.
as a congregant of the church, I shake my head no every time I hear about this, so I understand where you're coming from, but just as a governing body, we don't have the ability to nix it necessarily.
Well, you better make sure that every loophole is, tied
I
up.
understand.
and you better do the best you can with traffic and water, because the residents are gonna be screaming the way the tradition's coming up and screaming. I'm just telling you, you're gonna have another problem like you think that was
Okay,
bad, this is gonna be
I think we understand
You
what
and
you're
I
saying.
understand, but some people weren't here when
Well,
traditions was built.
I think everybody
The rest
does.
of us
saw what
don't, the
happened.
rest of us don't understand this.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for this gentleman while he's here? How about the inspectors? You guys wanna run anything while you're here? Okay. So we will take it under advisement and we'll probably make a decision on the 10th of, maybe, probably, yeah, you know. I've learned not to commit myself anymore. People hold you to it forever. If you ever get something wrong, they keep reminding you 20 years later.
Yeah,
Just keep in mind that you don't have a Hal Lindsey here.
well,
On that, and
that's,
changed.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
They show up and they don't even check, and they just kind of give a kiss.
That's important.
Okay, let's continue the meeting. Is there any public discussion? Anybody from the public? Okay, mayor's report, Mayor Hess.
I got a couple of things, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see, first of all, I just received this today, and we've had some conversation, emails going back and forth over the last 16 months, but unfortunately, Chief McGoldrick, I got a letter from the FOP, and I won't read it all to you right now, but they're looking for his immediate release, and we have a doctor's report, and we should have the independent doctor's report later on this week, and if that proves that he is permanently disabled from duty, then we're gonna have to make some decisions, and we're gonna have to pay him off, I guess, and then look for a new chief. So I'm gonna, with Matt's help and some other people's help, we're gonna start advertising for a new chief, and we're gonna go nationwide looking for a new chief.
I like it.
We'll talk about it, yeah, okay.
Quick question
We're
with
gonna
that.
need to get,
What if our physician that we're waiting for his report comes back that he's not fully disabled? Whose word do you go
Then
with?
we have an issue, I guess. We have an issue.
Then you have a fight, yeah.
Okay.
So that's that part. All right, so I gave you a little show and tell with these little orange violations. We've all had emails going back and forth with this also.
I've seen it.
So what do you want to do?
How many do we have left? How many of these do we have left?
We just got a whole new supply.
Of course you, 1,000.
that's
I
always,
don't
that's what
know.
always happens.
Can we just cross out the $15 thing?
Because not everything, only one thing on the list changed is the
Yeah,
problem.
there's only one thing on that thing that changes, that's the fire lanes.
Well, I understand, but on line number 10, if you cross out penalty, $15,
Yeah,
with a marker or something, so it's not seen. And on line 10, you put fee is $50 or 15.
Just for the fire lane.
just for the, well.
Oh,
how are
yeah,
we
what,
gonna do
and
that?
15 for anything else.
George had the best idea.
I like, yeah.
Having stickers
what do you
printed
think?
up and put this.
Yeah, some, well, they might
I-
take.
Alls I was
a
saying
sticker.
is that we take a sticker that basically, with the exception of your date and name up here at the top and the identification of the vehicle, we put a sticker that's gonna read what you want it to read. You know what I mean? And clarify our $50 for the fire lane and any other thing we want.
The sticker would then have to be all the parking violations, and we have to not number them, but number them and show the fee, 15 for everything and 50 for the,
So basically, it'd be a copy of what you have in the front. That's-
Change the amount.
You should have printed that since you know.
I don't
I mean,
know.
you could do something like that too, not a full sticker, maybe a sticker at the bottom here with.
Do we know how long $600 worth of envelopes last? Because,
How long do they go through them, George?
Depends on the enforcement. That's-
you think there's like a year supply, a 10-year supply?
I don't know, we just spent $600 for it. I mean, if you're gonna do it right, I say spend the money and do it right.
Can we have one discussion, please?
Because if you cite somebody today, $15 for parking in the fire lane, that's fine under the word in the ordinance. It's just, it's up to 50. So we could still use these. I mean, I know there's a desire to up the fine sooner rather than later, but that's one way to just continue to use the envelopes as is.
Well, you can, but what if somebody goes to the judge and says, hey, the judge, it says up to $50, and but it says 15 here.
You think somebody's gonna open their mouth about that?
What would the judge do? What would a judge do?
Go with the lower amount?
You hear what you just said? Go with the lower
Go
amount.
with the lower amount.
But that's what I'm saying, though, is if you're only citing them $15 anyway until these envelopes are gone, then you don't have to do anything with it. You just keep using it.
Well, then you're not gonna enforce the ordinance for $50.
The ordinance says up to $50, $15.
Just for the fire lane, not
Right.
for the rest of these.
Right,
Everything else is up to $15.
I understand.
Okay, what am I missing?
Okay, if somebody parks in a fire lane today and they get a ticket in this envelope, as is,
Right.
their fine is $15, and that complies with the ordinance. We don't have to do anything to the envelope.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
I'm
It's just,
with you.
so the fine they would pay is the $15. As soon as the last one of these is used, we redo them and have it say $50, and then the fine's $50. The ordinance doesn't have to change.
So
because-
just leave it for, until,
That's an
I see.
option.
Until they use them up.
until you use them up.
That's an option.
So we're basically not going to enforce the $50 until these are all used up.
Correct.
How much did the case cost?
Pass that down.
$600.
They told me $600.
$600.
Show them.
Go write 15 tickets tomorrow.
There you go.
That's true. Trash.
That's what I'm trying to get across to everybody.
That's too easy, what Mr. Leslie, that's too easy for them.
I mean, is that too hard?
That's the solution, but that's
Right
too
there?
easy for them.
Well,
She's the one.
I mean, I don't know.
I
I
know,
write 10 tickets, they write 10
I know,
tickets.
I agree.
Pay for it.
What Charles said, I agree.
I agree too.
I would reprint
Boy,
it.
seriously.
All in favor?
Aye.
You don't make motions.
yeah, it's not.
Okay, so
This is ridiculous.
We're gonna redo
You have
them?
to reprint it so you could do it.
All right, I'm going to redo them. That's the end
Well,
of
and
it.
you can still use these for everything but the fire lane.
No, we're going to get, we're going to change them, and we're going to show each violation 15, 15, 15, 15, and 50 for the park.
I say.
We
reprint
should be
them
talking
right
about the handicap, too. The handicap should be
Handicap
raised.
needs to be on there, yes.
Put
now. I
that
would
out there.
reprint them and make sure they're done properly.
How many people are in
Somebody in the
handicap
office
zones? Do
there.
you know? Do you see them?
All the time,
Right in front of the post office.
That's what I thought.
all the time.
Yeah.
In front of the Haven Market, in front of the
I know.
drug center over there, CVS, everywhere. They block it.
Are you
block
talking
it
about the
everywhere.
ramps
We
or
can't
somebody
write
illegal?
handicap ticket, though, we can
No,
enforce
handicap, yeah,
parking
any-
lane.
Right.
That's all we can enforce, is parking lane, because.
The police enforce the handicap.
I got my backside about it a couple times. He said, "You can't be doing this."
I know.
Hydrants we can too.
Right.
He said, don't do the.
Now, our handicap thing on there, is that for just the handicap parking or the blocking of the ramps getting up into a curb cuts and all?
I check them all off,
Good.
just ain't the people that do it.
I agree 100% with you. That one goes up my back sideways.
And it costs them $97.50 to come see the judge anyway, pay them all up front. Don't pay them.
That's what I'm thinking. I would like to see the ordinance changed for the handicap also to 50.
Well, I don't want to redo these. You want to prove it then?
So what did this one happen?
Well, that's why, I don't know why we have to have the fee on there. Just have the police put the fee down. It's not rocket science. There's gonna be one or two that's 50, the rest are 15.
Can't you just mention the
How long
ordinance
has this been
number?
around? It's like 40 years.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah, it's been around for 50 years now.
Yeah, I know, and it's outdated.
And they're outdated and they're.
People are parking there.
You can, Matt?
You just
can
heard
just
'em.
put the ordinance number,
Where, so let's, where
and
are
then it's whatever it is.
You just don't know what they're bringing to the police department.
It's not gonna let the
So
girls.
that's sort of convenient for them, because they know they're coming with $15.
Not only do I have concerns, the officers have concerns also. So do you want to believe the police department or not? Back them up. I'm going to do it. Okay, let's move along.
All right.
All right, so the traffic lights, what do you want
So
to do with these traffic lights?
Hold on, what did we decide?
He said he's gonna do it. We want to get rid of these and get them right.
We're gonna reprint them,
Okay,
right?
that's what we're gonna do?
And I want somebody in the office like Natalie to look at them because
I
she'll
don't
figure
even
it out.
think you need a vote.
She's
Let's
very
just
good
do
at
it.
Yeah, you know.
Throwing it at her.
Okay,
Get a new one.
all right, and now, go ahead, Mayor.
I was asking about the traffic lights. We had a lot of discussions about the traffic signals, left turn signals left on Cambridge Road and left on Coburn. Seems like a lot of residents want this. Some people on council don't think that we need it. We got the money, traffic calming money.
And they are only 8 to
Money
10,000, they're 8 to 10.
Money from where? We don't have traffic calming money.
Listen, I'm not
That was
yelling at you.
already-
I'm not yelling at you, okay?
I'm
Treat
not
me with
yelling
all
at anybody,
respect,
but
will you?
there's no traffic calming money. That was already reimbursed for last year for doing the Chandler and Coburn. And we passed a resolution in March, which nobody remembers, that reimbursed the general fund for the
Janice put on our
110,000 we
emails, we'd have
spent.
had this
It's
information.
my
Actually,
understanding.
you got the, hold on, you got that information because I took it from Janice and put it out to everybody, and it went out, so you all have it.
We passed it in
It's
March.
my understanding from the treasurer that we had money still left in traffic calming. So I think that money from traffic calming should be used for that, because that's what the developer put it in there for. If not, we'll just, I'll tell you what, Jazz, you want the lights?
You were,
Do
I
you
told
want
you
the
to check with
lights?
Killian and Leanne, and you didn't.
We already
do it.
did.
We went
Yeah.
there,
Yes, they
no
did.
grants for the
It's not- there's no
2018.
It
grants
was
this year.
$6,000. Killian couldn't pay $6,000.
I'm telling you, Janice, Killian said there's no grants through
He gave $1 million.
2018.
No, the
Leanne
grants-
said
the
there's no.
grants for this year already
Can't give us
expired.
$6,000.
You have to wait for next
All
year.
of the voters know all about that.
I'm about-
Mayor, were they 10,000,
All right.
I'm about to leave this meeting. I'm not taking this crap
Mayor,
anymore.
were they 10,000 each?
Yes.
Yeah, they're 8 to
Anywhere from 8 to
10,000.
10,000 each.
I would say get them done as soon as possible.
Yes,
They're
I'm in
needed,
favor of
especially,
the turn arrows. We need them.
No, I can't believe it.
Oh, well, speak up.
Where is the piece of
Speak up.
$30,000 or $40,000.
Yeah, you're talking 8 to 10,000 apiece.
Okay, let's,
That's for a whole,
guys, let's have one
It's the whole
discussion.
light.
You're all talking over each other, and we're just going round and round, we're not getting anything done, so.
Vaughn, we
I'd like
need
to
a
try to
real
bring these
quote.
orders back.
we
to
need
some
We need a
buzzers.
real, we need an
We
estimate
can.
of what it is.
that is,
You-
that's
That is
correct.
the estimate, we
You have
got it
the
from
estimate.
PennDOT.
But it is,
PennDOT gave us an estimate.
I agree with the estimate that PennDOT gave. That is what it costs. For just a left turn arrow, I think it's gonna be
And what kind of
closer to
permission
10.
do we need? Can we get permission quickly, or?
You can
We got
vote to
permission.
use, you have liquid
I haven't
fuels
seen
money,
PennDOT
you can
approved
use
it.
liquid fuels for it.
And why don't we circulate this, you know?
We do.
But
we
you
do.
also-
Janice,
Let me just tell you what's required.
Everybody
though.
here got it.
Well, that's normal.
Chick-fil-A is going to,
Exactly.
Chick-fil-A is going to generate a lot of
It's gonna be.
constant
Absolutely.
traffic.
You almost had
Ever
a
see the
fatality
drive-thru?
there. I know somebody who almost died there.
You ever see the drive-through? There's 20 cars deep, and they're going to be going in and out. I would say get them,
Is,
is
and
anyone
they're
listening?
going to have liquid rolling?
Put a motion out there?
Yes.
Can we put a motion?
you can, come on, guys.
Chief, you want to sit up here for me?
For when? Jesus.
I would say
I
get it done as
Okay,
soon as possible.
So you'll have
That's all
to
I
go
say.
out for bid. You'll go out for bid for this, and you'll also have to have the drawing change approved by PennDOT. So hopefully they'll do the layout for you, otherwise you have to do the engineering that's required to set up the timing, to change the drawing, and get their approval for the plan to be changed before you can install. But that doesn't stop you from, moving forward with it. You can use liquid fuels money for this. So you can take it out of liquid fuels if you want to take it
I
out of
think-
liquid
yeah,
fuels.
I
You
think
received the emails I
I
sent
think
you
it's something
afterwards?
we can.
Yeah, I
do.
had gotten
You have the
them,
money.
I just
That's
never
why I asked the
responded because I
question. I knew
agreed
there was
with
paperwork we had to
That's right.
get to get the timing and everything else. That's why I wanted
So
Eileen
do I,
to tell us.
so do I?
We can
do
start
have to do-
immediately. I have no problem with it, but I want Eileen to make sure she gets the timing and all straightened out.
Well, so she's been involved in us all along. I've kept her
So-
in the loop with PennDOT.
So all we would do is go back to PennDOT and tell them that the borough does wish to move forward, if that's what you vote to do.
And so what
And
was-
then we want to proceed to have the permit plan changed to accommodate the left turn arrows.
Okay, so.
That's fine. So I'm gonna make a motion that she talk to PennDOT to get whatever paperwork we need to get it started and get it completed.
Fantastic.
And we can take it from liquid fuels, that's fine, we have liquid fuels.
Thank you. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Well, we could have done 10 minutes ago.
There's 6 seconds.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else?
That wasn't
Yes, it is, but I hate to bring it up.
Well,
No, you
So
just-
we were all here at the last
Paperwork.
council meeting, the police officers made a demonstration of the police cameras, the cameras on their chest. State-of-the-art, new model rules, Chief Majuri in Aston and Sergeant Caden at East Lansdowne. They're telling me that the insurance companies eventually are gonna tell every municipality they better have the cameras, or insurance premiums are gonna go up. So again, I'm gonna suggest we don't have to outfit the entire department. Maybe we buy 6 or 7 of them. We go from there. And again, in the police budget, we have some money to pay for those.
There's no money in the police budget, sweetie.
What's that?
There's no money in the police budget.
Oh,
You're gonna be
Janice,
paying
what-
off
what?
The new ex-chief, you're gonna be paying off with money for next year. Good luck. When you see your budget, what do you see? It's gonna be totally out of kilter.
Mike Count, oh,
Janice, can I have 2 minutes of silence, please?
Sure, do you run the meeting now?
Yes, I am, right now I
You know,
am.
he does.
right now, he
No,
does
right
have
now I
the
am.
floor, so come on, let's go, if you have
Now, listen,
something.
I know how to read a budget. I
Mr.
know
Mayor-
what's in the
Mr. Mayor.
budget.
You didn't have to
Mayor,
spend
let's
it,
move
too.
on, please.
I spoke to, I'm telling you, I spoke to our treasurer, and we went over the numbers in the budget, and because because we're budgeted for a full-time police officer, which we're not gonna move forward with, that money is in the 2018 budget. So
That
that
doesn't mean
money,
it's in the 2019.
that money is sitting there for 2018. So if we want to purchase these, we want to purchase these in 2018. Now, I personally believe that we should have them. Now, I'm going to ask a past police officer. Officer Pappas, what do you think of these things?
I believe that we need to move forward on this for, we gotta meet contemporary standards. It's coming. I also agree with Mike that not everybody's gonna need a camera. Everybody, when I was with the department, everybody got a portable radio. Portable radios were cheap enough then, unfortunately, we've lost a couple through the years. They were stolen out of cars, they were misplaced, we never found them. I don't know how much the attachment of the, in this setup that we have here, this Motorola setup with the cameras, I don't know how much a camera's worth more than the portable, or
It's all one and the same.
it's all one and the same, okay? Can you disconnect it? That was one of my arguments.
Yes.
It can be disconnected, okay. So we still outfit the whole entire, I see the benefit that, to outfit the whole entire department with a portable radio, that they take themselves, they own, the borough owns it, they take possession of it, and they have it 24/7. I don't see the need for them to have a camera 24/7. So we'd have to limit down the cameras. Obviously, you'd want some spares on the side in case something gets
That's why I
wrong.
suggested 6 or 7.
There you go. I am for it 100%.
So originally, the entire department
I
was
have a
supposed to make
question.
about $4,000. Maybe we could be talking about, I don't know, $12,000, $15,000.
Yeah, good.
So you're mentioning 6 or 7. Can we start with maybe 3, since we only have 2 or 3, one at the same time, and maybe look at dash
You
cams?
know,
Aren't
you
they
want
a
to put a
lot
couple
cheaper?
officers out there. What if you have
my
something that's happening?
You stole my question.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you have 3 officers out there. You have 2 officers all the time, but you might have another officer on. Something might happen where we're calling more officers and we need more cameras.
The $50,000 cost, how many units was that?
That was a supply to the whole department. That would have been
Full-timers and part-timers?
15, yeah.
So it's gonna be half of that then, if you.
Oh, we're going to be less than half that. I'm
Now,
gonna
have we
say-
ever looked at dash cams?
You know, this is supposedly the latest stuff that's out there.
Well, I'm just thinking, if you're not gonna supply all the police with this, maybe those that don't have that, the dash cams are much cheaper.
They're not nearly as effective, though.
They're not? Okay.
They're
And I
really
wish these
not.
questions would have
The
been.
idea is,
Right, but as soon as
you
they
train
get a call,
behavior
they
for
trigger
police
it,
and
if
for
they're
the
driving,
person you're
it's gonna
pulling
go
over.
on.
Yeah.
I'm also, when I said about, we only needed a limited number, that those cameras stay behind while the officer leaves off shift.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
So the next guy comes on, so everybody has a camera. I would think that everybody has a camera when they go out onto the
Oh,
street.
absolutely.
Right.
And all that
And
information.
Another
goes-
point, we had 20 guns in the department, we only had 15 guys. We always had spare guns, and you say to yourself, well, why would you have a spare gun? Parts do break, there's no argument to it, the parts do break. So it's the same thing with the cameras, the chances of a camera getting damaged are pretty good, because they're gonna be wrestling with somebody, and it's an electronic device, I'm sure it's built to take a little bit of a beating along the way. So, if we have 4 guys out on the street, you would definitely buy a minimum of 4. If not, maybe like 2 extra cameras, maybe some extra place, just as a backup, like the mayor said, you got